About the worst thing most people can do is to pay attention to what happens to their portfolio every day. It's a little bit like saying that you should be paying a lot of attention to what happens to the second hand of a clock. It's just going to keep you away from things that are more important. The reality is, for most people, they don't need to check their portfolio too often. And of course, that is going to vary to some extent based on who you are or who any person is. But in a very simple sense, the best time to actually think about a year-end checkup on your account, on your portfolio, on your investments, is actually not at year-end. The reality that I learned when I was a kid is that the calendar year is kind of artificial. In reality, almost all real projects in the real world go on over a much longer period than a year, and particularly not associated with a calendar year. Taxes are done on a calendar year basis. And you get a lot of people in December trying to take tax losses to minimize the tax effect for the next year. And one of the worst things you can do is to try to take tax losses right when everyone else is taking tax losses, because you're trying to sell the same things that they're trying to sell just when they're trying to sell them. So you tend to sell low and then have the things that you would want bounce back before you can get to them after the mandatory wait before you can buy them back. The best time to think about these things is to create your own sort of fiscal year end for planning purposes that's in the middle of the calendar year, and to take your tax losses in maybe the late summer, kind of the notion of buying your straw hats in the winter and your skis in the summer, to take advantage of the fact that people aren't doing tax loss selling then. And then you want to review your portfolio to make sure it's still consistent with your longer term needs, because really the only purpose of your portfolio in the first place is what are you trying to accomplish in the long term. And for most of you, the long term is longer than you can feel emotionally. And once a year is a good time to go back and say, what's really important to me? What are my goals? What am I trying to accomplish? Where do I want this set of investments to take me in the longer term, and why? And that's one of the most basic financial planning questions you could ever ask, and is worth to think through from the beginning, sort of once a year, again, maybe at that same time, when you're not distracted by holidays, when you're not distracted by what to get as a present for your grandchild or your sister or your spouse, in the calm of a quiet time, to think through, what is it that I really need these to do for me in the long term? And then once you're comfortable that nothing's changed in your life in the year that would change that, and you're comfortable with what you've done relative to minimizing tax impacts, you've pretty much done the job. Thank you for listening. Subscribe to the Fisher Investment YouTube channel if you like what you've seen. Click the bell to be notified as soon as we publish new videos.